Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for January 8th, 2024. Well, thanks for giving me a couple of days off. My wife and I had a great time in Vegas, but we got back yesterday afternoon, and here we are back in the saddle again and ready to kick off a full week of trading here in the market. Let's take a look at what happened overnight. We had Asian markets lower. Mostly lower across the board. Only the Nikkei managed to pull through a little 0.27% gain, while Hong Kong was leading the selling down 1.88% or 310 points. Shanghai also pretty sharply lower, down only 41 points, but that's 1.42% for the Shanghai. So not looking so good there either. Let's take a look at Europe. European markets this morning are mostly lower. As a matter of fact, they're trying to get the DAX to come up here just a little bit at the moment, but they've been lower across the board this morning. And pre-market here in the U.S., we've got futures lower across the board this morning. So we'll want to be a little bit careful there. That news on Boeing really having a substantial impact on the diamonds today. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up, let's take a look at some stocks here in just a second, see how we might want to approach the market today in this Monday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I do truly appreciate it. How about we take a look at these charts, see if we can figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. Let's try to set that bias aside about what we want the market to do, and let's take a look at what the chart's telling us could happen, either bullish or bearishly, or even sideways price action. First off, if we take a look at the diamonds has been feeling just a little bit of sell pressure, and this is the lightest index in the market, where we just haven't seen that much along the selling way here. And you can see we're still trying to hold in here on this price support. Now, the Boeing data today, Boeing being relatively heavily weighted in the Dow, could have a negative impact on this, and we see the Dow futures pushing lower here this morning. So watch this closely. If the bears were to continue to push here, then there is that possibility we could come back and we could test these support levels. So remember that big black candle, that warning here in the market, that would be the critical area to be watching. If we were to fall through there, then I think a test of this price support in here would be a possibility. And remember, that's the all-time high breakout level in the diamonds. Now, if they completely reject that move to the downside and we see buyers just come rushing back in, and we've certainly seen that a lot, where we're gapping down in the morning on the diamonds and then just immediate buyers coming in. Well, if that were the case, then if we bounce off of this area in here, look for those bulls to push up into this area of the chart, test those resistance levels, and then see if we can go ahead and break on out to blue sky highs once again here in the diamonds. Remember, we're still very, very stretched away from our moving averages in the chart. We're extremely elevated here, so we do want to keep an eye on that. And we also want to remember that we're still waiting on the beginning of earnings season here, and with earnings season still a ways out for the real kickoff here to earnings with the big banks reports, we may still be kind of stuck in some consolidation. There's also some data coming this week that could stick us into a little consolidation until the end of the week. We'll talk about that in just a moment. If we were to take a look at our SPY, had it just a little bit more rough. Remember, we broke down below this big black candle here, a little bit of pressure in the market, but nothing terrible overall. As a matter of fact, after a 9-week bullish run, this has not been much of a correction at all. So that being said, we're still kind of waiting in pretty high anticipation of these earnings. If the bears, however, were to find some inspiration here, then I would look for that break that would push us back down into this bigger level of price support in the chart. Can't say that that's going to happen here the way the price action is setting up this morning, but you just want to watch carefully for that possibility. If the bulls find inspiration here, let's look and see if we could bounce up off of this area here, bounce back up and maybe test this breakout area here in the chart on the S&P 500. Well, it's not really a breakout because the S&P 500 was the only index not able to make new record highs. And that still may be possible, that we may get a good stretch here coming up after this bit of a pullback correction in the market and really push here on the SPY to see if we can break through. Now, that may not occur until we start big bank earnings, just because of that anticipation, that worry about how things may come out. But if those bulls can get moving, maybe up here into that resistance area of the chart and maybe push right on up here into this price resistance, retesting that that uptrend as a resistance here in the chart. So keep an eye on the SPY. You still want to keep in mind that we are very elevated away from our 50-day moving average here in the SPY. Now the QQQ had the roughest move here overall, just extremely overbought and just some resting coming into the market. I don't think there's any major pain here or any catastrophe happening at the moment here in the QQQ, but I do think there is a possibility that we could pull back to test this area of price support here in the chart. So if the bears were to get a little bit of inspiration here yet, we could drop down into this area of price support, but there's nothing critical about that at all. Again, there just wasn't a whole lot of price support in this move, so kind of made that fade back into this area rather likely, and with earnings still yet to come, we may have some more chop and range bound action in here to be dealing with. Now, if the bulls were to find inspiration here, so the first thing is, let's see if we can break through these wiki areas right in here, break back up through there, and if we can, then maybe a retest up here, that big black candle low, and pushing on through there, well, we'll be right back up here into this price resistance area of the chart on the QQQ. So certainly possible. I do think choppy sideways price action in all of these indexes is still possible as well, considering the fact that we're waiting on earnings. Let's take a look at our IWM. Now, our Russell pulling back here in the chart, as you can see, breaking below this support area, and you can see that support area was this downtrend break to the bullish side. We broke through it and held it, so I turned it green, and now we've pushed down through here. I will turn this red again if we were to push up and fail that area, meaning breaking this support underneath here. If we were to fail that area, then this will turn back to red. But right now we're still okay in that chart. We did fill this gap that I was talking about there, and you do want to notice this big candle here. There's not a whole lot that you can account for price support in a big giant candle like that. So we do want to watch for that possibility. If the bears get going, maybe a pushback into this longer trend, and I see the possibility that we could even push a little bit lower back into that area of price support if they really got some inspiration. But if the bulls find inspiration here, and there's certainly reason to believe they could, could bounce off of this area and just be a little bit range bound in here, waiting on earnings. So watch that possibility that we could pop up here into that area of resistance in the chart, and don't be too surprised if we continue to see us bounce around in here, just moving out toward that trend. Let's take a look at our VIX. Now, our VIX, as I have continued to mention over and over and over, our VIX never gets too much worry coming into it until we hold our first higher low. And we have done that here in the chart, albeit a very shallow higher low, very shallow trend. So not a lot of fear here in the market. With that bearishness we're seeing this morning, we'll want to watch that carefully here. There still is that chance that we could chop this around out here toward the trend, and again, just waiting for earnings to kick off. But with that bearish move that we're seeing here this morning in the Dow, remember the Dow's been doing a pretty good job of trying to hold us up. We're going to need big tech maybe to come around and save us today with that Boeing news. Don't be surprised if we stretch up here and maybe test this resistance this morning in the pre-market. If we were to happen to break through there, well, we can see where that next level takes us to the upside here. That would be a little bit of fear coming into the market, so keep an eye on that. If we take a look at our T2122, our T2122, well, that's turned up here on Friday with a little bit of choppiness in the market that came in here. But yeah, I don't think this really changed anything yet. We're up here around the mid section of T2122. There's the 50% area here, and we're just hanging just slightly below that. So if the bulls can find inspiration here, let's look for that push up into this area of the chart. See if we can start breaking through some of these levels of resistance and pushing on through back up there toward those highs. However, with the bearishness we're seeing this morning in the pre-market, don't be too surprised with that push that we could maybe push on down, and we might even finish this move down here toward the bearish reversal zone with diamonds maybe showing a little bit of pressure here this morning. So watch that carefully. And if we take a look at our T2108, well, our T2108 is pulled back from this very, very frothy overbought area here. This is the percentage of stocks above the 40-day moving average. I don't see anything terrible here at all. This is just a correction, a relief of that over rambunctious buy 9-week up buy party that we had at the end of the year, and just resting and pulling back. I don't see anything terrible here in the market. We did break that upside trend, which was extremely steep, but we've got plenty of support levels below. If we can find reason for bullishness in the market in the data, then there's certainly reason that we could bounce off of this and relieve back to the upside. Still extremely bullish here on T2108. T2107, percentage of stocks above the 200, also very, very bullish. And again, we're still very pushed up here. We've broken that upside trend, a little bit of bearishness here. You can see on Friday we were essentially flat on that move. So pushing back up here, if the bulls find inspiration, every reason to believe we can come back up here and test these areas of the chart. But if the bears were to pick up here, just kind of keep in mind, if they feel a little bit of ugliness today with the diamonds doing what they're doing, then that possibility that we could push down and test some areas of price support here in the chart. And still, that doesn't hurt us at all in the market. Maybe just kind of finishing up this relief by relief into a little bit of correction to pull things back and remove some of that frothiness from the market. If the T2101 showed a breadth increase on Friday, if that can continue, we might be able to see that stretch on higher here. I do see a little teeny tiny, if you notice right there, let me zoom this up a little bit, where we hooked just a little bit, maybe just a little bit of uncertainty as we came back up here into this resistance, maybe just a little uncertainty showing up there. And with that bearishness showing up this morning, what we don't want to see if you're a bull is we don't want to see this breadth continue to expand to the upside on the sell wave here. So watch carefully for that. If we were to extend, that would raise some fear if that were the case. If we were to hook on over and just see with this bearishness this morning, hook on over and see that the breadth is declining, then there's probably not a whole lot of worry here for the bulls. So watch that closely. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. Now, our economic calendar, we do have an extremely light day today. Not much going on that calendar, as you can see. We've got some bill auctions, investor movement index, which nobody's going to care about. We've got Bostic speaking today. Now, that could be interesting. We'll want to watch that, and a consumer credit report right at the bell. If you take a look, an hour before the bell, which I don't think anybody's going to care. Then if we take a look at the rest of the week, pretty light here. We got international trade in goods. We got small business optimism in there. Not likely going to move the market much. Remember, international trade in goods is something we largely ignore anymore. We have on Wednesday mortgage applications, and we've got wholesale inventories and petroleum status, and then just not much else in there except some Fed speak. And then it's going to be Thursday and Friday. That's going to be the big test for the market. We're going to get the CPI number. That'll be important, of course, those jobless claims, because we've seen those jobs be a little bit strong here, and salaries going up. That's causing a little bit of worry on that inflation side. And we've got natural gas in here as we move through this week. And then, of course, Treasury statement, Fed balance sheet, which nobody's going to pay attention to. And then we've got the PPI on Friday with Kashkari speaking. So little bit of nothing in here until we hit Thursday and Friday for data to really move us in the market. And what I'd mentioned is there might be a reason why we just kind of are choppy and light in the price action here, and that's because this wait for the CPI number, you could see a lot of sideways choppiness in here as we're just going to wait and see what these CPI numbers tell us overall. So watch that carefully. Now, if we were to take a look at a couple of the other things in here, oil sector. Whoops, I need to go XLE. There we go. XLE. XLE started pulling back here again on that oil sector, and I'm seeing oil prices down across the board this morning. So we'll want to watch that closely here. Apparently, OPEC is going into some higher supply. Well, not OPEC. OPEC is reacting to the higher supply that we're seeing in the economies around the world, and that's just simply what I think is that consumer slowing down here just a little bit. So we'll want to watch that carefully here. Oil feeling a little bit of pressure here this morning, so you might want to keep an eye on this. If we were to break some support in some of these areas of the chart, there might be some opportunities in stocks in the oil sector that could be interesting. And then, of course, we have bonds pretty much flat this morning. Not much happening there in the bonds today. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar. Now, our earnings calendar this morning, we don't have a lot going on here. Obviously, in earnings, we're waiting on the big kickoff of earnings, but we do have a couple of notables. ACCD is one that we'll want to be watching this morning. Maybe this has been an extremely bullish chart, as you can see, just parabolic really in this last move to the upside. Drop down below a little support, but this will be an important report to decide, are we going to continue that upside trend or move on lower. We also will see Helen of Troy report today. Keep an eye on that. That pushed strongly up in this trend. We did break that trend here a little bit. This will be critical this morning. Are we going to push on through, or are we going to maybe resume a little bit of a downtrend here in Helen of Troy? And last but not least, we're going to hear from Jefferies Financial here. This has been an extremely bullish move to the upside. Watch that carefully today as we get a report from Jefferies. That's it for the earnings today for the notables. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up. But before we do that, guys, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and then also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, and that'd be leave that brief comment, help the channel to continue to grow by doing that. Make sure you click those thumbs up buttons. That helps a lot. Thank you so much to everyone who does that and shares these videos on your social media feed. And also just a huge shout out to those of you who continue to support the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link just below the title of the video. Thank you so much, everyone. I do truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that could be setting up. And remember, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. Do your own due diligence. Be very careful, and just remember, I haven't had all the time in front of the screens that I normally have looking at charts, so there's not going to be as many today, but make sure you're following your own rules, your own guidelines. Make sure that you never ever trade or blindly trade anyone else's ideas. First off, let's take a look at JCI. Now, JCI, Johnson Controls, kind of broke some support here in that chart. I had a price alert up here, but this might just be this volatility move. You can see we had some experience with a volatility move right there that broke down and then just came right back. And you can see JCI pushing back up here. If we can bounce back up here, recover, and prove to hold up here, then there may still be some upside opportunity here in JCI. I would watch that one closely. American Tower continues to interest me here. As you can see, I had a price alert, popped, just really couldn't get much going here. Watching that closely. American Tower hanging in there nice, holding in on some support. So if that continues to hold in here, I would watch for that next opportunity to the upside that there. MDT finally made a move. Boy, it took forever for that to really kind of chop its way out here toward the trend and get going. And we may still be just a little early. So don't be surprised on MDT in this pop. It may rest and pull back some more. Remember, we're going to be waiting on some of these earnings reports, and so we may not have a whole lot of momentum. And you'll notice here where we came up here and we are testing this resistance, and that's one of the reasons why we may just rest a bit more here in the market. But keep an eye on MDT. I think there may be some opportunities. This is just one of those stocks that's like way behind that takes full advantage of AI. So watch that closely. 3M might be one to keep an eye on. Nice little resting consolidating pattern in here. I would look for that next opportunity for that to maybe pop on through to the upside, still holding in there nicely. And although we had kind of a hit to the defensive sector area, there are still stocks out there in that defensive sector area looking pretty good. Take a look at Coke. This is one of those patterns where we break down, come back up and hold, pushing on through, and now a little rest, pulling back. See if we can catch a little support in here. Look for that next opportunity maybe to follow this trend. That hammer might be a little bit of a clue in here where we bounced right off of that potential upside trend. See if we can get that to continue to the upside. I'd watch that one pretty closely. I've been watching international paper here for a potential buy. Kind of popped and pulled back, resting in this chart. And really what I'm interested in is the longer term play. And if you look at that longer term, international paper is really setting up for that upside move. But take a look right in here. This little resting pullback today may provide some opportunities as long as we don't break that support. Watch that carefully in the chart. Now, if we take a look at the dollar strengthening here today, pushing to the upside. So we'll want to be careful here with anything on the commodity side of things, and that's including that oil that we talked about. So you may want to look at some stocks like ExxonMobil that rallied into this resistance, broke through, and now showing that reversal potential here in the chart. This may be pushing right back down here with the supply numbers that we've been seeing, and watch that closely here. Seeing a lot of these that, well, just not too happy at the moment. This is Warren Buffett's favored stock, OXY. We made that rally, put in a lower high now, and we're pushing on down here in those charts. So watch that closely. And remember, we don't just want to look at all upside stocks, particularly when we're moving lower in the markets. You might want to take a look at stocks like Starbucks. I've been talking about this one as a short, and it is continuing in that pattern short. Any rally back into this resistance or consolidation over to that downtrend, looks like there may still be some more opportunity to the downside. So take a look at some of those short trades, particularly when we're bearish like this. There may be some good price action there. You can pick up some capital. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Thanks so much for being here this morning. I do truly appreciate it. Sorry for the no video on Friday, but hopefully you didn't miss anything and had a good day on Friday. We'll see you all in the trading room today. Wish you all the best. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll talk to you all bright and early Tuesday morning. Have a great day.